Hi students, welcome to lesson 4, Concept of Settlement. Human settlement is a form of human habitation which ranges from a single dwelling to large city. In other words, it is a process of opening up and settling of a previously uninhabited area by the people. People live in clusters of houses that might be a village, a town or a city. The study of human settlements is basic to human geography and sociology because the form of settlement in any particular region reflects group interactions and human relationship with the environment. Settlement is an organized colony of humans with dwelling units which can be kutcha huts or pucca houses and roads they use for traveling. Settlements can be temporary or permanent. Hunters, herders, adventurers set up camps for a limited period of time as temporary settlements. Inhabited villages and urban agglomerates are permanent settlements. Few dwelling units forming a settlement is a hamlet, while large number of people settling in several clusters of buildings may be found in the towns and metropolitan cities. After completion of this lesson, you will be able to understand the concept and meaning of settlement, different patterns of settlement, that is village, town and city. Concept of settlement. A human settlement is defined as a place inhabited more or less permanently. The houses may be designed or redesigned, buildings may be altered, functions may change, but settlement continues in time and space. Human settlement means cluster of dwellings of any type or size where human beings live. People erect houses, other structures, create facilities for civic services and command some area or territory as their economic support base. Thus, the process of settlement inherently involves grouping of people and apportioning of territory as their resource base. Settlements vary in size and type. They range from a hamlet to metropolitan cities. The size, economic character and social structure of settlements changes, and so do its ecology, culture and technology. Settlements could be small and sparsely spaced. They may also be large, dense and closely spaced. The sparsely located small settlements are called villages, specializing in agriculture or other primary activities and reflect homogeneity. The larger settlements are heterogeneous and are urban settlements specializing in secondary and tertiary activities. The rural settlements derive their life support or basic economic needs from land-based primary economic activities, whereas urban settlements depend on processing of raw materials and manufacturing of finished goods on the one hand and a variety of services on the other. Cities act as nodes of economic growth, provide goods and services not only to urban dwellers but also to the people of the rural settlements in their hinterlands in return for food and raw materials. This functional relationship between the urban and rural settlements takes place through transport and communication network. Rural and urban settlements differ in terms of social relationship, culture, attitude and outlook. Rural people are less mobile and therefore social relations among them are intimate. In urban areas, on the other hand, way of life is complex and fast and social relations are formal. Interestingly, there is a great deal of interdependence between both. Settlements may also be categorized by their shape and patterns type. The main types classified by shape are compact or nucleated settlements. These settlements are those in which a large number of houses are constructed very close to each other. Such settlements grow along river valleys and in fertile plains. Communities are closely knit and share common professions. Dispersed settlements. In these settlements, houses are separated far apart and often scattered with fields. A cultural characteristic such as a place of worship or market forces the settlement to come together. Village. Village community may be defined as a group of people living in a definite geographical area characterized by consciousness of kind, common lifestyles, and various intensive social interactions. The term village refers to a small area with small population which follows agriculture not only as an occupation but also as way of life. According to Government of India, a village is a small settlement usually found in a rural setting. It is generally larger than a hamlet but smaller than a town. Some geographers specifically define a village as having between 500 and 2500 inhabitants. In most parts of the world, villages are settlements of people clustered around a central point. In the past, villages were a usual form of community settlement for societies that practice subsistence agriculture and also for some non-agricultural societies. In many cultures, towns and cities were few, with only a small proportion of the population living in them. The important features of village as a settlement are basis of social organization. In India, there are more than 500,000 villages. In every respect, the future of India is very much linked with the development of villages. Villages have a definite locality. Locality is the physical basis of village community. A group of people form village community only when it begins to reside in a definite locality. Villages usually are of small size since village communities are smaller in size. The census in India designates a place with 5,000 inhabitants as a village community. There is lot of importance to neighborhood in village communities. Neighborhood relationship in villages is a feature of Indian rural life. Living in small proximity and an atmosphere of fellow feeling, friendship, sympathy in the rural setting promote neighborhood relationship in village. In villages, we see predominance of primary relations. A village community is often regarded as a primary group. It is characterized by the predominance of personal and relatively durable relations. There is comparative simplicity and sincerity in human relationship, though this is changing. Kinship groups play crucial roles in the context of the village community. There is presence of strong community sentiment. Joint family system. Joint family system still forms the basic structural unit in the village community. All the members live together under the same roof, take food cooked in the common hearth, hold property together, participate in common worship, and are related to each other as some particular type of kindred or kinship. Marriage. The villagers for the most part practice endogamy, that is marrying within a caste group, and spouse selection is by the family. Agricultural economy. Agriculture is the biggest occupation in rural India. It is essentially a way of life for the ruralites, as their whole mode of social life, daily routine, habits and attitudes revolve around agriculture. There are also non-agricultural occupations such as carpentry, pottery, basket making, etc. for their livelihood. Caste system. It is a unique feature of Indian village community. It determines the role, status, occupation and marital relationships of the ruralites. The caste system exercises decisive influence on the villagers. Jajmani system is another peculiar feature of village life in India, strongly connected with caste system. Under this system, members of a caste or many castes offer their services to the members of other castes. People to whom such services are offered are called jajmans, and those who offer their services are known as parjans or kamins. The kamins are paid in terms of crops or grains either annually or half yearly. On ritual occasions such as marriage, birth and death, the kamins are paid extra wages. The jajmani relation binds the families of various castes into a hereditary, permanent and multiple relationships. The system has been greatly weakened by socio-economic and political changes in India. Simple life is another feature of village community. It is interesting to observe that even in the materialistic age of today, the generally accepted ideal in the village is one of the simple living and high thinking. Faith in religion. Religion plays a paramount role in the life of the village. Religious influence is evident in every important activity of village life like sowing, harvesting of crops, birth, marriage, illness, death, etc. On all such occasions, the ruralites conduct religious ceremonies in the form of puja, mela or kirtan. In this way, faith in religion is very strong in villages. Village governance. The traditional village panchayat in the form of village council performs a variety of tasks including the maintenance of law and order, settling of disputes, celebration of festivals and construction of roads, bridges and tanks. On the other hand, matters relating to the caste rules, property and family disputes and other activities of serious nature were dealt with by the caste panchayat. In the post-independent India, the Panchayat Raj institutions have become significant aspect of village governance. Village is a homogeneous community. Homogeneity of population is an important feature of village communities. The members of a village exhibit similarities in their dress, speech, beliefs, values, attitudes and behavior. Informal social control. In village communities, social control is informal and direct. The primary groups like the family, neighborhood act as powerful agencies of social control in villages. The traditional village panchayat and the caste panchayat also exercise much control on the deviant members of the community. Limited social mobility. Territorial, occupational and social mobility of the rural population is limited. The reason is attributed to lack of satisfactory spread of education in the rural areas. Status of women. Generally, the women in villages are not much educated and their social status is lower than that of their counterparts in the towns. Factors like prevalence of child marriage, joint family system, traditional ideals, old values and lack of education among females are responsible for the low status of women. Conservers of ancient culture. Sociologically, villages are important because they preserve the ancient culture of the Indian society. Village as rural settlements are witnessing structural and cultural changes. The villages in India are at present passing through transitional period. From the sociological point of view, the old social relations, bonds and ties have disappeared. The community consciousness is steadily declining. Politics of the country has divided them into political and subcaste groups. The joint family system is fast disintegrating. In India, the task of rural reconstruction is a huge challenge. Ministry of Rural Development has been formed at the center as well as at various state levels to look after the overall task of rural development and coordinate the different schemes in this direction. India's urban population is expected to go up from 377 million in 2011 to about 600 million for the year 2031. This implies an increase of over 200 million in just 20 years. About 60% of the growth in the urban population in the past is due to natural increase, whereas rural to urban migration has contributed to only about 20%. There is concentration of urban population in large cities and existing urban agglomeration. The Census of India has defined urban or town by combining legal, population, occupation and density factors. In India, the words cities and towns are defined in the Census of India, which provides statistical information on different characteristics of the people of India. Cities and towns are part of urban settlements. All places with a municipality, corporation, cantonment board or notified town area committee etc. so declared by a state law are called statutory towns. Places which satisfy the following criteria are called census towns. A minimum population of 5,000, at least 75% of the main working population engaged in non-agricultural pursuits, and a density of population of at least 400 persons per square kilometers, that is 1000 per square mile. Towns are further classified into different classes based on the size of population. Class 1 comprises of 1 lakh and above. Class 2 comprises of 50,000 to 99,999. Class 3 comprises of 20,000 to 49,999. Class 4 comprises of 10,000 to 19,999. Class 5 comprises of 5,000 to 9,999, and towns with population of 1 lakh and above are called cities. The census of 2011 states that there are 53 million plus cities, accounting for 43% of India's urban population. The census of 2011 also notes that the number of towns in India increased from 5,161 in 2001 to as many as 7,935 in 2011. Most of this increase was in the growth of census towns rather than on statutory towns. The Reserve Bank of India uses the same population criteria to define the tier centers, a concept used in designing incentives for bank branch or ATM expansions, etc. Towns with population below 5,000 are called Tier 6 centers. Tier 1 comprises metropolitan and urban centers. Tiers 2, 3 and 4 comprise semi-urban centers, and tiers 5 and 6 comprise rural centers. Statutory town is defined as all places with a municipality, corporation, cantonment board or notified town area committee. Census towns are defined as the places that satisfy these criteria. Minimum population of 5,000 and at least 75% of male working population engaged in non-agricultural pursuits. City. Cities, apart from being large heterogeneous settlements and a demographic entity, should also be viewed as cultures. The effects of urban ways of life on personal styles, tastes and attitude are not confined to cities. Cities are centers of multiple fascinations. The cultural influences present in the city take many shapes. According to Zukin, the cultures of cities certainly include ethnicities, lifestyles and images, consumer goods and diffusion through mass media of style. Cities are sites of culture industries where artists, designers and performers produce and sell their creative works. Cities represent multifaceted environment and cultures. Lewis Mumford, in his article on city, forms and functions in International Encyclopedia of Social Sciences writes, although the city as a form of human settlement dates back to the beginnings of civilization, it long escaped scholarly scrutiny and its very definition is still under debate. According to Burgell, like many other sociological categories, the city is an abstraction, but the elements of which it consists, residents, structures, means of transportation, installations and so on, are concrete entities of varying nature. What makes a city is the functional integration of its elements into a whole. Cities as human settlements are large and complex structures. The important features of cities are size. In the same country and at the same period, the size of an urban community is much larger than that of a rural community. In other words, urbanity and size of a community are positively correlated. Density of population. Density of population in urban areas is greater than in rural communities. Urbanity and density are positively correlated. Urban families. Nuclear families are more popular in urban areas. Urban marriages. In case of urban community, there is preponderance of love marriages and intercaste marriages. One also comes across a greater number of divorces. Individuals have freedom of spouse selection. Urban occupation. In the urban areas, the major occupations are industrial, administrative and professional in nature. Divisions of labor and occupational specialization are very much common in towns, cities and metropolises. There exist class extremes in urban areas. In the words of Bogadas, class extreme characterize the city. A town and a city house the richest as well as the poorest of people. In a city, the slums of the poor exist alongside the palatial bungalows of the rich amidst the apartments of the middle class members. The most civilized modes of behavior as well as the worst racketeering are found in the cities. Social heterogeneity. If villages are the symbol of cultural homogeneity, the cities symbolize cultural heterogeneity. The cities are characterized by diverse people, races and cultures. There is great diversity with regard to the food habits, dress habits, living conditions, religious beliefs, cultural outlook, customs and traditions of the urbanites. Social distance. Social distance is the result of anonymity and heterogeneity. Most of one's routine social contacts in a town or city are impersonal and segmentary in character. In the urban community, social responses are incomplete and half-hearted. There is utter lack of personal involvement in the affairs of others. The system of interaction in urban community is unique. George Simmel held that the social structure of urban communities is based on interest groups. The circles of social contact are wider in the city than in the country. There is a wider area of interaction. This makes city life more complex and varied. The city life is characterized by the predominance of secondary contacts, impersonal, casual and short-lived relations. Man, at any rate, the man in the street virtually loses his identity, being treated as a number having a certain address. Social mobility. The most important feature of urban community is its social mobility. In urban areas, the social status of an individual is determined not by heredity or birth, but by his merit, intelligence and perseverance. Urbanity and mobility are positively correlated. Urban materialism. In the urban community, the social existence of man revolves around wealth and material possessions. The worth of an urbanite today is being judged not by what he is, but by what he has. Status symbols in the form of financial assets, salaries, costly home appliances count a lot for the urbanites. Rationality is another feature of urban community. In urban community, there is emphasis on rationality. People are inclined to reason and argue. Anonymity and individualism in urban settlements. As Bogardas observes, the urban groups have a reputation for namelessness. By virtue of its size and population, the urban community cannot be a primary group. The interaction with neighbors is very limited. Norm and social role conflict in urban settlements. The urban community is characterized by norm and social role conflict. Factors such as the size, density and heterogeneity of the population, extreme occupational specialization and the class structure prevalent in the urban context lead to such a state of affairs. In the absence of uniform and fixed social norms, individuals or groups often seek divergent ends. This has a considerable share in causing social disorganization. Urban settlements also reflect rapid social change and cultural change. Rapid social and cultural change characterizes the metropolitan and urban life. The importance attached to traditional or sacred elements has been reduced. The benefits of urban life have effected changes in respect of norms, ideologies, and behavior patterns. Urban settlements show voluntary associations. The urban community is characterized by impersonal, mechanical, and formal social contacts occurring among the people. Naturally, they have a strong desire for developing genuine social relationships to satisfy their hunger for emotional warmth and sense of security. They form associations, clubs, societies, and other secondary groups. Formal social control. Social control in urban settlements is essentially formal in nature. Individuals' behavior is regulated by such agencies as police, jails, law, courts, etc. Secularization of outlook. In cities, ritual and kinship obligations are diluted. Caste and community considerations yield to economic logic. This results in secularization of outlook. Urban areas provide impulses for modernization in society as a whole. Human settlement is a form of human habitation which ranges from a single dwelling to large city. In other words, it is a process of opening up and setting of a previously uninhabited area by the people. Rural and urban settlements differ in terms of social relationship, attitude, and outlook. Rural people are less mobile and therefore social relations among them are intimate. In urban areas, on the other hand, way of life is complex and fast and social relations are formal. Villages are normally permanent with fixed dwellings. However, transient villages can occur. Further, the dwellings of a village are fairly close to one another, not scattered broadly over the landscape as a dispersed settlement. The census of India has defined urban or town by combining legal, population, occupation, and density factors. In India, the words cities and towns are defined in the Census of India, which provides statistical information on different characteristics of the people of India. Cities are large and complex structures. Urban areas provide impulses for modernization in society as a whole.